Mental wellness is the capacity to handle the normal pressures, stresses, conflicts, and expectations of everyday life. But what about those who may not have that capacity? In fact, some of us are wired differently. In any given school setting, 20% of the students experience difficulty handling the normal issues of life, as defined by the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or DSM. 20%. In a school of 1,000 students, 200 children are experiencing a lack of mental wellness on some level. In addition, another 16% of the student population is considered borderline for meeting criteria and qualifying for a DSM label.
Okay, everybody pull your books out. Okay, we're going to get started. Hey, Molly, it's time to go sit down.
I'm not sitting down.
No, listen, we're done with this.
Students dealing with certain mental wellness issues may come across as uncooperative, intentionally disruptive, causing frustration and anxiety in those who work with or around them. Common misunderstandings include: the student is daydreaming, wasting time. The student is intentionally being disobedient. The student doesn't try to get along with others. The student isn't listening to the teacher, and the student knows better. Often, traditional practices employed to deal with uncooperative or disruptive students fail when applied to those afflicted with mental wellness issues. Most teachers' instinct is to deal quickly and efficiently with unwanted behaviors and attitudes from students.
Okay, everybody, that's enough. Everybody, let's focus. Let's get back to our math. Okay.
Students with challenges may be put on edge with constant reactive discipline. When other students react positively to this form of management, which can include a raised voice, moving closer to a student, reminding the student of the rules and consequences, etc., a student with mental wellness issues can become very confused and frustrated. Many times, when dealing with students with disorders, traditional means of classroom management and correction are neither lasting nor beneficial for the student, teacher, or school. Any effective management of such complex behaviors usually takes a package approach of several ideas over an extended period of time. This package approach could include any of the following: an atmosphere that is calm, predictable, welcoming, and organized. Clear and consistent behavior expectations, including practices to encourage expected behavior while discouraging undesired behavior. Specific awareness and insight into the student and their situation. Individual, class, and school prevention. Debriefings to minimize the ineffective and maximize effective actions. Teamwork involving the school, family, students, and others. Counseling and/or therapy. Coaching, and possible medications. Author and nationally known school behavior consultant Mike Paget recommends 5 universal keys for working with students who have a wide variety of mental wellness challenges.
The 5 keys are essential for allowing educators to work with all the students that come into a school. About 20% of kids in most schools have some type of risk factor going on, and the 5 keys are useful for all but essential for those 20%.
Here are 5 keys for helping students with mental wellness challenges. Owning who you are. Reasonable accommodations. Prevention. No stigma allowed, and a positive and welcoming climate. Whether your students suffer from severe anxiety disorders, Asperger's, early onset bipolar, or other DSM issues, knowing the 5 keys to classroom disorder intervention can be helpful to classroom management.
Another great day today, Andre. All right.
Owning who you are begins with helping the student to learn about their temperament, their personality, and their unique cognitive and emotional needs. It's helping the student to know and understand their uniqueness in a positive way.
No, this is my book. I'm just worried. Okay.
Malachi, I need you to sit down.
Teaching students to know when they are getting overly emotional about a situation will help them to be able to control an emotional response or prevent it altogether. Self-monitoring helps students understand when they are getting overly emotional about a situation and enables them to control an emotional response or prevent it altogether. One way to prevent or control an unwanted emotional response is through relaxation training. This sort of training can give the student the ability to calm him or herself and manage or counter arousal issues, such as fight or flight. A good example of this would be breath control techniques. A second way to control emotional responses is through cognitive retraining, replacing negative thought patterns with more positive and constructive thoughts, resulting in a cognitive behavior change. Another intervention in helping a student to own who they are is to teach skills through behavior training. Skills that may be taught could include problem solving, conflict solving, social skills, communication skills, and other behavior skills.
Hey, Steve, how's it going?
Is that just gonna be soon?
It's gonna be
Another
tomorrow,
method
okay?
for a student to own who they are is to teach them assertiveness. Assertiveness training teaches skills designed to get the student's needs met by communicating what they need. This training could include skills for handling teasing and bullying or communicating test-taking needs.
Are you doing all right, Steve? Do you need any help? I know you know how to do these. Why haven't you started?
Or how you said for me to tell you how you can help me?
Yes.
Well, there are too many problems on this page. I can't concentrate on any one problem. There's just too many.
What if I only put 4 problems on each page instead of 20? Would that help?
I think so.
Okay, let's try that. And thanks for letting me know what you need.
Reasonable accommodations are defined as modifications or adjustments to the tasks, environment, or to the way things are usually done that enable individuals with disabilities to have an equal opportunity to participate in an academic program. Accommodations are useful for a variety of student personalities, including those with educational disabilities and mental wellness challenges. One common symptom is problems with early waking. Students who have issues with early waking should have their schedules adjusted so there is nothing too intense for the first period or 2 of the day, and should take any important tests later in the day.
Tell me what happened.
Students with large mood fluctuations should have an adult in the school who is considered safe, to whom the child can go to calm down.
We're gonna go to the safe place. Come on.
These students may also need a calm down place where they know they can go for a few minutes to gather themselves. Other students may need to be allowed to take a short nap to calm their mood. A longer-term solution is to help these students to identify their mood triggers and work with the students on their coping skills. Another set of symptoms that may need accommodation is escalation, periods of deep sadness, and/or anxiety. These students may also need a safe adult or safe place to which to retreat. Journaling has also proved effective in combating these issues and helps the student to identify their own triggers. Another symptom is perfectionistic behaviors that can lead to added anxiety. Some accommodations for these symptoms can come in the form of cueing a student well before a coming transition. For example, a student worried about their writing quality can have their anxiety reduced by being allowed to complete their work on a computer.
What seems to be the problem, Jennifer?
I can't write very well.
Oh, no, I've read your essays before and they're always very good.
No, I mean the way I write. It's always so hard for anyone else to read.
Well, you know, there's no need for it to be perfect.
I'm so embarrassed about my writing.
Tell you what, why don't you use the computer today to write your essay? Will that help? And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Okay.
Accommodations may be in order for students with physical regulation problems with physical activities. These students may get overstimulated or overheated easily. They need easy access to water and rest. Less competitive options should be considered for these students as well as adaptive physical education. These students could also periodically be given a less physical role in class, such as scorekeeper. Other symptoms, which should be considered for reasonable accommodations, are medication side effects, difficulty in sustaining tasks or attention, issues of disorganization, homework deadlines, extended test times and tutoring, among others. Regardless of the mental wellness issue, there are always reasonable accommodations available for individual students. Check with your special ed coordinator, 504 coordinator, counseling department, or mental health specialist. Traditionally, when a child misbehaves in the classroom, there is usually one of two responses: one, punish, or two, ignore.
Just sit down.
While either of these responses can be useful, if the real issue is a skill deficit, then the responsive teaching can become a very useful third tool. In these cases involving mental wellness issues, teaching involves showing the student the behavior expected very briefly and very clearly. The components of the desired behavior should be presented without intensity, giving the student space to adjust.
All right, Eli, all you have to do is just raise your hand, then I can call.
Many students learn through repetition and need the expected behavior to be demonstrated again. If a student appears to be unable to remember or implement what was previously taught, then the behavior needs to be presented and retaught again, without emotion or negativity. Simply retaught.
Two lines that are side by side.
2 lines side by side. Perfect, perfect.
Some students will have learned what was taught, but will need a reminder to use the newly learned skill. A brief prompt or cue can serve as the added boost they need to implement what was previously taught and learned. Other students, because of excessive energy or ideas, may be likely to act before they think about what the teacher has taught them and act inappropriately. In these cases, pre-correcting can help, aiding a student in slowing down and using their new learned behavior. Again, these concepts apply to all behavior and are not specific to one disability area. Remembering the skill deficit approach is useful when dealing with students who are more impulsive.
All right, it's gonna be pretty cool. Once I dismiss you, we're gonna head outside and find some different specimens of flora and see if we can identify the different parts. Andre, hey, you wanna take my clipboard and take some good notes for us? Great. All right, let's head on out.
Schools should strive to make themselves no-stigma zones, so it is safer for all students to be open to support and instruction as opposed to being embarrassed, harassed, or bullied about challenges they have.
It's important for a school to be a no-stigma zone because every school has a certain percentage of students who have inherent risk factors and characteristics that they can feel devalued by. A school that is a no-stigma zone accepts all kids, it welcomes all kids, it finds ways to value kids regardless of their assets and liabilities.
Creating a no-stigma zone school starts with adults, with the partnership of school leadership that sets the tone, followed by staff who, by consistently watching for opportunities to value, validate, and model respectful attitudes and practices for all students, set the foundation for reducing and eliminating stigma. One of the most powerful tools for creating an inclusive climate that does not engage in stigma is to create multiple opportunities for the voice of students to be heard. Ongoing instruction on brain health, including the range of human personalities, emotions, and behaviors, student focus groups, student advocacy for their peers, and constant respectful behavior from all adults will strengthen the No Stigma Zone school. Developing such a climate depends on the establishment of respect, the collaboration of school officials, family, and others directly involved, and the building of individual strengths. Components of a positive and preventive school include all adults commit to teaching behavior to all students, a reliable and consistently implemented set of expectations regarding student and adult behavior, Those expectations will resemble character traits for the school, for example, determined, respectful, safe, or helpful. Students will be taught observable behaviors that are examples of the expectations. With this commitment, there will be increased opportunities for adults to recognize positive student behavior versus the old school emphasis and correcting inappropriate behavior. Understanding how to teach behaviors and creating a climate that emphasizes preventive instruction and positive recognition of appropriate behaviors is one of the dominant approaches to school climate and student behavior. Student emotional and behavioral patterns are complex and respond best when schools, families, and sometimes other service providers work together in positive and preventive ways. And when it comes to mental wellness, some of us are wired differently.